Yeah, okay, good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe in. Dropping heat like every season. Underdog like Willie beaming. Classic like Dom singing. Blasting like bombs ringing. I guess I define winning.
I don't know it's whether to do an intro for this show because we don't know the name yet. So I guess we can start there. I'm either going to call this show Bacon, Eggs, and Basketball or Hoops and Hops, like beer, because most of the time this show is going to be filmed late at night because that's kind of the NBA's vibe, I feel like. Football's kind of like a day thing. Basketball is kind of a late night thing. Most games are wrap up around 11. So I don't know. Leave a comment. What do you guys want to? You guys want to stick with the breakfast individual show theme, or do we want to kind of have a late night vibe? I'm cool with either. It's still sort of daytime. It's 7:30, but you know, um, as the show goes on, we'll get into filming it more late at night, especially as the playoffs go on, for sure. All right. This show is going to be on, I think, Tuesdays because Breakfast with the Broncos is Monday. We kind of have a hole on Tuesday. Every other day pretty much has a video at this point. We're cranking out content. So I think this is going to be Tuesday's show. And with the NBA, it's kind of just whenever because there's games all the time. It's not where football, where like you have religious days that you're watching football. Basketball, you are, you know, you're it's all the time. It's all the time to keep it short. So I'm going to throw it over to Walk Talk Devin, and he's going to explain a little bit more about the show, and we'll be back.
We're bringing Walk Talk to this new show. I think I'm either going to call it Bacon, Eggs, and Basketball or Hoops and Hops. I'm undecided, so leave in the comments what we should name the show, but we're going to talk about basketball, obviously. The playoffs are in full swing. We have just officially ended the first round with Cleveland and Orlando's game wrapping up today. We have all of our second round matchups set, and this postseason, well, every NBA postseason really gets me back into basketball mood. I'm not a fan of the regular season, as most basketball fans are. It's a little too long, but we're here to the promised land, and things are interesting. There's a couple interesting series I want to go through, make some predictions, talk about stars that are being born in front of our very eyes, and these videos will probably be between 5 and 8 minutes. Pretty short in comparison to our other content, but I feel like we leave basketball out a little too much, and we're at the best part of the year for basketball. As well as we've got the Summer Olympics this year in Paris as well. We'll touch on that at some point, but let's jump back to the desk and talk about it.
All right. Let's talk hoops. Let's do it. I love basketball. I'm a basketball guy. For those of you who don't know, I played lacrosse briefly collegiately, but grew up playing basketball since I was 3. So basketball is my first love. Lacrosse is what I was best at, but I probably should have played football. That's how I kind of line it out there. And when I say play football, I mean play cornerback. So not get hit, just hit people. Anyways, I won't get sidetracked here. I'm a basketball guy. That is where my sports psychosis started. And so I am a Jazz fan. I know, unfortunate tier, but it's been kind of fun now that I'm into basketball, understanding the rebuild, watching those young guys get it going. But more importantly, it's playoff time. Those of us who are basketball fans, all of us know it's terrible to watch the regular season. It's hopefully next year it's going to be a little bit different because they're allowed to be a little bit more physical, which will make games more interesting and I think close the gap because basketball was becoming such a touch finesse sport, which it is. It's not as physical as football, excuse me. That's just the truth there. And the game's not meant to be as physical as football by no means, but it was getting to a point where it was just ridiculous. Free throws were at an all-time high. They started to come down because we got rid of some ridiculous, drawing foul rules. But still, there was still some room to let the game be more physical on defense. And we're seeing it for sure in the playoffs. I love it. Old heads love it. this is the happiest I think I've seen the basketball community as a whole for a long time. And I think part of it is because we've got new stars playing their roles in the playoffs. Obviously, Joker's been here. There's no surprise with that. He's been a face in the league for the last couple years, winning MVPs. And I say a face for a reason. We'll come back to it, but a face won multiple MVPs, has had really good teams in Denver, won the championship last year. We've got Devin Booker and the Suns. They've crashed and burned. Oh, have they crashed and burned? But it's still fun to see new faces in that. Devin Booker being that face that I'm talking about, amongst other guys. I could go on, but ladies and gentlemen, we've got our guy. We've got our American guy that's going to be the face of the league, that's exciting, that wants to be it, that's got the mentality, and is not afraid of anybody, not a damn soul. And that human being is Anthony Edwards. Everyone's talking about him. And I think it's that much more exciting because we're going to get to see even more of him in Paris. And so, that's even more exciting because it just is going to solidify him if he plays really well there as the new face of the league, the 20-something guy that is going to be great and going to be the main storyline. And it's kind of hard, I think, for a lot of people to wrap their head around Minnesota being a main storyline in the NBA, but that was the goal with the second apron that was instilled, I guess you could say, in the league. So we've got Anthony Edwards. And small market teams are going to start to become main storylines because they're the teams that from the get-go have had to be good at drafting, have had to get their stars through the draft and try and keep them. And now with the second apron, they have that opportunity. And I think guys are getting more and more keen to the idea that it's cool to play for a team majority of your career, at least the beginning of it, and be really good. And there's so much more player fluidity. I think it's a good match, with the second apron, you think, okay, it takes away from player fluidity. It does in terms of stars, but it offers a lot of ability for the role players to move, which I think is what teams should be focusing on. Get your star through the draft and fill out the rest of the roster through free agency, through trades, whatever that looks like. So I'm excited. It's awesome. Anthony Edwards is ridiculously good. I haven't been this excited to turn on a basketball game and watch someone play since probably Kawhi 2019 in Toronto. So it's been 5 years. And before that, it was Wade in Miami. And before that, the first how I got introduced to basketball was Kobe. So it's been shooting guard after shooting guard. Or you could argue Kawhi is a small forward. Well, he's a small forward, but sticking to the point here, it's so exciting to have something to look forward to, a player to look forward to that's just got that dog and is not afraid of anybody, respectful in that he's like, I love these guys, they're legends of the game, but I'm him. I'm next. I love that. So let's talk about the playoffs now. So the NBA playoffs, that is what this video is supposed to be about, and that's majority what we're going to be talking about during this show for the next couple of weeks. Obviously, all of our second round matchups are set. We've played one game of one of them. Starting from the top in the Western Conference, Thunder versus Mavericks. This is a much more dangerous series for the Thunder than than has been talked about. I haven't seen a lot of media around it. Luka, Kyrie, and the Mavs in 6. They've just he's too much, I think, for a Thunder team to handle. If he was able to, him and Kyrie were able to lift the Mavericks over the Clippers, I don't see the Thunder coming out of this series. So Mavericks in 6. I mean, it's super exciting also to see Kyrie playing playoff basketball in a meaningful way and not being a crazy person, which also I just want to touch on. Outside of, you know what? I'm not even going to go there. The next series here, we've got Timberwolves versus Nuggets. I think this is the one that everyone in the nation has their eyes on, because if the Timberwolves come out of this series It's official. I think Anthony Edwards is already in club superstar, thanks Nick Wright, but even more so if they're able to dethrone the Nuggets. It's such a fun matchup. They're the Lakers, but better. When I look at the Timberwolves, they remind me a lot of the Lakers when they won the championship in the bubble, having two bigs and just super long, a lot of versatility defensively. And but in this case, they've got a young star that's not afraid of anybody and is willing to just go get a bucket, fight for it. And if he's not hot that night, he's gonna buckle down on defense, do everything he can to will the team to a win. They stole game one, which is huge in Denver. Denver has been amazing at home, and it's huge that they stole that first game, turned the series in their favor early. And I think that the Nuggets will come out of game two, but if the Timberwolves take care of business at home, then Nuggets will have their backs against the wall. With the Nuggets in this scenario with their back against the wall, we'll get to see really how they respond. Jamal Murray did not have his playoff heroics in the fourth quarter like he has been. Arguably one of the best playoff risers in NBA history, frankly. If you don't believe me, go look at the stats or look at Jimmy High Roller's video. We all kind of feel it watching Jamal Murray, but there's truth behind it. They're a super fun team to watch. They've got a ton of length, and obviously Jokic is just he's unstoppable, but they found a way to stop him in Minnesota. They sped him up, which was weird to see. So we'll see how they respond, how the Nuggets respond in game two. I'm sure that it'll be a big win, probably by 10 or so is what my gut tells me. Between 6 to 10, they're going to walk out of that game, and it'll be a tied series, 0-0 going into Minnesota, essentially. My problem with this is, yes, I love that the Timberwolves stole game one, but I don't see them closing them in five. And the hard part is I don't see them closing them in six on the Nuggets home floor. Or, well, I guess that would be back in, I don't know. I just don't see them closing them in five. Um, so I'm gonna go Timberwolves in six. I think the Nuggets will get game two. Minnesota will take care of business at home. Nuggets will get game five. It'll look like they have a shot, but Minnesota at home will take care of business in game six. So Minnesota in six. The next one here, the Celtics. They're down Kristaps Porzingis. They're playing the Cavs. The Cavs have a ton of length and an absolutely explosive superstar in Donovan Mitchell. He went for 40 or went for 50, excuse me, in game six. Let me see. Yeah, game six. Donovan went for 50. Today in game seven against Orlando, he went for in game seven today, Donovan goes for 39. So explosive scorer. Um, I had Orlando. I wanted Orlando to come out of this series to get that first playoff series win, but they put up a great fight. They look very promising. They're going to be definitely targeting some free agents in the offseason or possible teams that are breaking it up, i.e. the Clippers and Paul George. But um, I think this is really exciting for Orlando. This is the first time they've been really relevant since Dwight was there. Paolo has showed his 38 today in game seven. That's huge. That's huge for his confidence. And I think we're going to see them take another step, especially if Cleveland gets blown out by Boston, which they probably will. It'll probably be a gentleman's sweep or five or four. I don't know if the Cavs will keep it together. This guy. I don't know if the Cavs will keep the team together. I think this was a huge win to convince Donovan that close. And sorry, we ran into a really good Celtics team, but I think it's more exciting for Orlando to make it to a game 7, to be relevant, to have your young stars. They're a great looking team. They're going to be, like I said, targeting free agents. But back to the series for Boston and Cleveland. Boston will come out of this series at worst, a gentleman's sweep as long as they stay focused. Boston is the definition of a team that front runs to me. And if they're not front running, then they're not winning. Um, they scare me sometimes because they look like they get kind of lazy and lackadaisical and lose themselves during games, where they just kind of put it on a team in the first quarter and then pump the brakes. Um, I don't know. At the same time, I don't see the Cavs. I don't see Donovan being enough. If you're in tight games with the Magic, granted, Paolo is a great scorer, but it's not like he was putting up huge games every single night. He was still having solid games, but not putting up 40 balls. But Donovan was having to put up 30, 40 balls to get past Orlando. I don't see the series going longer than 5 for the Celtics. So Celtics in 5. And then the final series in the East, we have Pacers Knicks. This one's going to be a ton of fun too. I think the Pacers are still a year off from really making an impact and getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, it could be kind of a similar storyline to the Hawks, I think. They had the one year where they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then they've been kind of buns since. I don't think that Indiana will be buns, but if they do make it to the they do make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, they won't be back for a while. It'll be a massive fumble if the Knicks don't get past them. I don't see that happening. I think it's Knicks in 6, closing Indiana on their home floor, maybe 5, just because the atmosphere in a game 5 in Madison Square Garden will be absolutely electric. But another superstar, 2, arguably. I would say Jalen Brunson more so than Tyrese Halliburton, but Halliburton's had his moments. Certainly, he did in the first round against the Bucks, but I think Jalen Brunson just wants it more than everybody in the East, which will make for an interesting series against the Celtics. But I'm going to take the Knicks here in 6. I just don't see. I think that Indiana's a year out from really pushing to the conference finals or even a finals in general. And there's other teams like the Bucks will most likely be back. The Heat, I'm sure, will make some changes. The Sixers, who knows what's going to happen with them, but Knicks in 6 here. And I think especially there will be some conversations about what will happen with Julius Randle this offseason if the Knicks do make the Eastern Conference Finals and make it a series with Boston. Because look, if your second best player arguably isn't there and you're able to make it to an Eastern Conference Finals and make it a series, imagine what you can do if you have a real legitimate second star there and they'll make a push. I would call Phoenix and ask them what's up with Kevin Durant, see what's happening there. So there's my playoff predictions. Let's run through it again real quick. I got Mavs in 6, Timberwolves in 6, Celtics in, I'm going to say Celtics in 5. Cleveland will get a game. And then I'm going to say Knicks in 6. The Pacers are good enough, certainly, to get 2 games out of this. Sticking with the playoffs a little bit, but talking about some of the aftermath. I have no clue what's going to happen with the Sixers. That's an interesting team to watch, but the most interesting team, obviously, is the Suns. What the hell are they going to do? Because they can't move Bradley Beal. It looks terrible if they move KD, but I don't think you're ready to move Booker quite yet. But I don't know who you pair alongside of him to make that sort of impact. To take them to the next level. They don't have a true point guard. Grayson Allen was great this year. Nurkic was pretty good. But I don't know, coming to the playoffs, Nurkic was kind of nowhere to be found. Grayson Allen, same thing. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do, Could this be, like I mentioned, Durant to the Knicks? Could this be Durant, which I think this next one's much more interesting, Durant back to Golden State? It makes too much sense. If Clay's possibly on the chopping block, and you're going to keep Draymond and Steph, obviously, then the Suns don't need another shooter necessarily, but that seems like a Suns move. And you can get whatever draft capital you can and move some of your length, maybe Jonathan Kuminga. That could be a great piece for the Suns, kind of get back that Mikal Bridges archetype. Um, that could be really interesting. And I think it makes a ton of sense. And I think immediately Golden State is back to being relevant for at least the next 2 to 3 years, make one more push to get, I don't know, maybe two more. Like the West is wide open. Outside of the Nuggets, you're just going to be playing them. So I have no idea. I have no idea. Leave me some thoughts in the comments what you guys think is going to happen with Durant and the Suns. Or the third option where they just run it back. I don't think that happens though. I think that's the smallest possibility, which is odd to say. The Lakers, they're going to run it back. I don't think LeBron's going anywhere. Maybe, I don't know. It's to be seen with Bronny what's going to happen there. So we'll have to wait and see with the Lakers, but the two teams to keep your eyes on are going to be the Clippers. I think they're gonna have to blow it up. They're gonna have to blow it up. They've lost to Luka and the Mavs again. I think this is like 3 straight years. And then the Suns. What are they gonna do? Those are the two teams to watch now in the offseason once the playoffs conclude. But we still have some damn good basketball to watch throughout the rest of the summer here. So I'm Devin, and you are watching either Hoops and Hops or Bacon, Eggs, and Basketball on Buffet Sports. We post every day, if not twice a day, when it comes to short form. And now we've got just about every day scheduled with a long form video too. So tons of content for you guys to just eat up, consume. You're bored. I don't know. Watch it. Do it. Why not? Ciao.